I'm here now with veterinarian Dr. Christopher Kennedy from the University of Illinois Veterinary Teaching Hospital. We just heard some signs of heat stroke in dogs. Thought we could dive a little deeper, which is why we brought in the expert. Dr. Kennedy, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we get into some of these details, tell me a little bit about your background as a veterinarian, kind of your specialty.
Okay, so my name is Christopher Kennedy. I'm a veterinarian. I work at the University of Illinois. I work in two departments there. So I'm actually faculty in the emergency and intensive care units, but I'm also part-time training in a residency in cardiology as well. So I kind of work in many different areas and many different departments. If anybody comes down that way, you might see me in different departments.
The accent, I'm guessing you're not from the Midwest.
So I'm Canadian.
Okay.
But I have a bit of a strange accent because my parents are British. So I often say British with a hard T, but I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, very cool. Well, welcome. We are talking specifically today about signs of heat stress when it comes to our little furry friends, because we want to make sure that they're staying safe here during the dog days of summer. Let's talk some of those signs that homeowners, or excuse me, pet owners should be on the lookout for.
So I think you said something really interesting there, because you said heat stress. And so a lot of the time when we talk about heat-related injury, we're talking about heat stroke, and that sounds pretty severe, but you actually hit the nail on the head with heat stress. That's like a milder form that happens earlier, and those signs can be way more subtle. Because when we talk heat stroke, we often see dogs that are completely collapsed and totally overheating. Whereas when we see heat stress, it's much more subtle and something that owners might see at home. So playing in the dog park on a hot and day like today, then you might see your dog is panting more. They might seem more agitated. They might seem more restless. They might kind of seem a little bit more crazy-eyed. And you think, hey, they're just having a real good time in the heat. But actually, when we're looking at that kind of anxiousness and that excessive panting are the early signs of heat stress, which, if we don't get them out of the heat soon, that can progress to that severe form of what we call heat stroke. And that's when they start collapsing. They're really struggling to breathe. And that's because their body is totally overheating.
Yeah, there's a few other signs that we saw quickly. Unsteadiness, abnormal gum and tongue color, and then collapse kind of being the final straw.
Right, so it's all a spectrum, and it kind of goes from that real subtle signs all the way through. The abnormal gum and tongue color is one to think about, and if that happens, I would recommend people get to a vet's quickly, because when we get to that stage, we're kind of one off that heat stroke, that anxiousness, restlessness, that kind of pacing around, that just not seeming quite right. Those real subtle signs, if you're on a hot day, I would have that high on my radar that something's not right.
Okay, very good. Are there some dogs that are more prone to heat stress, heat stroke?
There definitely are, and there's kind of two big groups. One is like kind of those pet dogs, which we think about prone to it, and some of them are working dogs. So if you're a farmer or if you have a working police dog, real fit and healthy dogs, they can heat stroke, heat stress really easily, right? And they're not the ones you would necessarily expect, but they're working in the heat. The flip side is those pet-owned dogs, and we're talking ones that are overweight. We're talking ones that have those short noses, so we're talking pugs, we're talking French bulldogs, we're talking English bulldogs. Those guys struggle to ventilate, and dogs lose heat by breathing. Right? So if they can't pant off that heat, if they can't breathe too well, then they're prone to overheating. Any bigger dogs as well, they can't get rid of the heat too. So those pet dogs are at risk. Okay,
so if we do see those signs of heat stress, what should be the first thing we do?
First thing we want to do is try and get them out of the hot environment. So if you're down the play park, get them out of that direct sunlight, get them out of the heat. You stop throwing the ball, right? Like if they're chasing
that seems obvious.
Right? Don't push them any further than that. And that kind of goes for working dogs as well. Just be aware of it. Stop pushing them hard. Right? Get them out of the heat. You want to make sure they have plenty of access to water. We talk about cool air-conditioned areas, so if you can get them inside into a building out of the direct sunlight where it's cool and air-conditioned. Car as well, but just remember the sunlight can come in the windows of a car, so even if you're okay in an AC-cooled car yourself, some of these short-nosed dogs, they can keep heat stroking in that car even if you get them out of the heat, right? The heat's trapped inside of them. So you got to think about that and be aware of it. Honestly, if you're really that worried, living in this area is quite a small area, and we have the vet school right here in the heart of town, so you are more than welcome to come down the emergency room. We also have an urgent care that's open during the week as well, so perhaps something that's not quite as serious, we could shuttle you on that way instead. But if you guys need us for that emergency situation where they're really not coming out of it, get them down to us. And what we usually do then is we start what we call active cooling, and that's getting them wet.
Okay.
Right? We soak them. We get them wet. We run cool water on them quite a lot. There's other ways to do it. You guys can do that at home, but don't do it with your backyard hose. You do it with the backyard hose that's been sat in the sun all day, the water in that hose is hot. You do it down the lake, the dog might fall into the lake.
And that would not be good.
So just be careful
Okay.
and be careful with the way you do these things, or get them down to us.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much. Lots to consider and to keep in mind here in the dog days of summer. And if you want all of Dr. Kennedy's tips, or you want to connect with our friends at the Uvi Vet Teaching Hospital, we'll do that over at ciLiving.tv. Thank you so much.
Thank you.